Thanks for joining Broken World today. We're breaking down Westworld for Season 3, Episode 1. And this is a very heady show, so let's break it all down. This is Broken World. What's up, guys? This is Dylan, and thanks for joining me. Whether you're new to the show or returning, I'm glad to have you along. And I hope that you'll join us live on YouTube and Facebook every Monday for Broken World at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you know when we drop a new video. And there's not a podcast for this one. So check out the website at www.broken.pictures.com. And you can also support the show on Patreon or by buying merch at the store at broken.pictures/store on the website there. So a couple special notes. It has been 2 years since Westworld Season 2. So we're kind of doing just like a little soft boot here, or soft launch for Broken World Season 3. We did do Season 2 last time it aired. I want to say last year, but it was 2 years ago. So, as of right now, Episode 1 and Episode 2 have already aired. I'm going to break down Episode 1 tomorrow night. Tonight is Friday night, so tomorrow night, which will be Saturday night, I'll break down Episode 2, and then we'll join at our regularly scheduled time with Quin and Chris, which will be right here in me. And that will be Monday nights at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And so whether or not you're familiar with the other shows we do, which is Talking Dead, and we've done the FOMO show, we do movie breakdowns, reviews, and things like that. So go ahead and check out our other videos if you would. We'd appreciate that. And like I said, Episode 2 will be tomorrow night. Tonight is Episode 1. This is a very complicated and heady show, so I need, of course, Westworld airs on Sunday nights, but we do our Walking Dead coverage on Sunday nights. Plus, it's gonna take us a day to process what happened in the show, in that episode. So we're gonna be airing on Monday nights. And you can catch us here on YouTube or Facebook Live. So don't forget to tune in for that. We'll appreciate you. And you can interact with us, or you can watch it later. It will be posted on Facebook and YouTube and probably IGTV. So if you're on Instagram, you can catch us there too. And catch in the little ticker below or in the episode description. And you can find us on social media and where to find all those things. So thank you. Don't forget, out there, stay healthy, and keep your butt at home. So, all right. So, spoiler alert. Just letting you know. Of course, we're going to get into Episode 1. If you have not watched Season 3, Episode 1, now's the time to tune out. But if you have, let's break it down, and let us know in the comments whether you're watching live or later. Let us know in the comments what you thought, and we will answer you, and we can get a conversation going, because there's a lot to talk about on this show. There's some pretty heady themes. So, all right. Excuse me. All right. So also, I just want to say that Westworld is rated for mature audiences. So if anything that you've seen or heard on the show, it will probably be repeated on this show. So just be ready. Language, images, potential, all that. Okay, just be ready. You've been warned. This show is also for mature audiences. I'm not expecting any children to be watching Westworld. If you let your kids watch Westworld, then you've got bigger problems than Westworld going on. I don't know. Anyways, all right, let's get on in. I've got lots of notes here. And I'm going to try to break this down as concise and clean and as fast as possible. Excuse me. It's late, so I'm filming late just because I had some family stuff to take care of earlier. So, excuse my voice. All right. So, let's talk about. All right. So, season 3, episode 1, the title, Parce Domine, which is Latin for "Spare us, Lord, spare your people, be not angry with us forever." If you didn't know, now you know. Let's see. The description, episode description is taking residence in Neo Los Angeles. Dolores develops a relationship with Caleb and comes to learn how artificial beings are treated in the real world. So this episode, being that it's just an intro episode, I'm going to give it it was a pretty good episode. I'm going to say 7 or 8. I liked it. It was pretty good. All right. So let me go ahead and jump right in here. Let's start with the new intro. There's a lot of, like I said, themes on this show. We ended last season. Everybody kind of, all the hosts fought to get to the door, and they were brought in to kind of like an artificial intelligence heaven, kind of like the Matrix type thing, where they were brought into another world, another realm where their consciousnesses would be safe. That was created by Ford, and Maeve was fighting for them to get in there, and I want to say Bernard was as well, but Dolores was not. She saw it as just another chain from the humans keeping them down, and another fake world, and she wants the real world, and she wants her brothers and sisters to thrive and experience real life and all that, to be real. She's the Pinocchio of the show. She wants to be a real boy. So we left off. They had made it through, and of course, Akecheta had kind of led all his people through like a Moses of the hosts, and or Joshua rather, because Moses didn't enter the promised land. So lots and lots of biblical themes in this show, lots of spirituality and what it means to be human, a lot of mercy, just a lot of real big thoughts and themes in this show. A lot to break down, a lot to think about, sowing and reaping, and your decisions, and what team and side you choose, and all that kind of stuff. Lots of moral conundrums. Excuse me. So, we also left off. Maeve had sacrificed herself for her daughter. So Maeve died. Dolores snuck out of the park with, I think, 6 other, what were they called? Pearls, which are the brains of the hosts. Teddy, Angela, some of the other regulars were killed off. As far as we know, they were permanently killed off. They did not have a backup unless there was a backup in the Promised Land area through the door. We have yet to see that. So, so I'm just trying to wrap my mind around where I'm going with this. Okay. So the intro to season 3, of course, every season we get a brand new intro, and this one is no different. And it just kind of like introduces some of the themes of the season and where it's going. And a lot of this sometimes is just not really revealed to us until later in the season. We pick up on it. Excuse me. So, oh yeah, and also at the end of season 2, we also see that Dolores Bernard was killed, and she has rebuilt Bernard, saying that even though she knows that he's going to fight against her, they all have their part to play. So there's some overarching theme, or maybe it's part of her programming to have an adversary like God and the devil type situation. Who knows at this point? That's all speculation, but that's what's fun about this show. So, all right, finally, we get into the intro. We've got like it's an eagle flying into a jet engine and in full sail, just like at its peak. And then we also see hosts that are coming together, a lot like the creation of Adam, the Renaissance painting, and which was referred to, I want to say, in season 2 or season 1, to have God seated in the shape of a brain. And so that was a big reveal or a big theme that Ford had about God being in your head or yourself, or consciousness being God, or something to that effect. So as these things come together, and as these things are in the eagle in full flight, they begin to break down. And we see the jet engine is tearing the eagle apart. And as the hosts or the bodies come together, they interact, and that's almost like the point of singularity, where they come together and attain consciousness. But then once they pass that point, they are immediately moving away from each other and farther apart. And so it even though they've peaked, and now there's the decline. And so it's very significant of like Icarus, humanity. Icarus, if you know the Greek story, Icarus him and his father wanted to escape an island. His father crafted wings of wax and warned his son not to fly too high to the sun or it would melt the wax. Icarus got carried away, of course, flew too high, and then crashed down and died, and all his father survived and was able to fly off the island. So, sad story, moral lesson there, of course. And then, of course, we see the Da Vinci's Man host in the circle dipped in red this time instead of white. So it all ends in red, very ominously, in their undoing. And so it seems like that's where they're going with this, where potentially Dolores is going to find what she's looking for, but it's not going to be what she hoped it was, and it will be her undoing. But we'll see. That's the fun. All right, so let me get into my notes. So we start out, and I'll start with Bernard. We got a couple characters to follow, just kind of catching them up. Bernard, it seems he's on the run. Dolores has blamed him for the Westworld massacre, and he is on the run. He's working on a farm and some kind of meat factory, a lot like the floor where they had the hosts, but this time we're doing it to other animals, so I don't know if there's a theme there or not. Pick out what you will about that, but some of the themes also with Bernard being the good guy. When he finds a calf out in the field, and it's broken its leg, and looks like barbed wire wrapped around its leg or something like that, and it's not going to make it. And he is trying to comfort it, possibly trying to save it. And the rancher or the farmer comes over and says, "Hey, we're going to put it down and go get this to take care of it," and blah blah blah. Excuse me. Just a little catch in my throat because it's late. All right, so, and around this calf, there's some flies buzzing, and it kind of harkens back to, I want to say, I don't remember if it was season 1 or season 2, but I think it was season 1. Dolores was talking to Teddy about a disease that was transferred by flies to the cattle, and how she would deal with them. And Teddy said that, he would protect the herd. He would take the weak ones and put them away in a safe place to try to keep the flies away from them, to let them survive. And and of course, Dolores had a whole different way of going about it. She would kill off the weak so that the strong could survive. And so that's kind of been her mode of operation and the way she goes about things. But it seems that Bernard takes the Teddy point of view, where he wants to protect the weak and keep them safe. And more of a Christ-like character, if you will. So we've got also okay, so he's running under a, oh, that's my dog's tail, by the way. This is Ghost. He's running under an assumed name, which is Armand Delgado. And if you know, the Arnold Weber and Bernard Lowe are, I want to say, anagrams, which is where you swap up the letters and you get a different name. They're all the same letters, different name. And somebody said that Armand Delgado is an anagram for Broken Arnold. So that's pretty interesting. And so we see him running diagnostics on himself, and he's very concerned that somehow Dolores is hacked into him the way that Dolores was meeting with Arnold, and that she wasn't aware, and she was Wyatt and all these different things. Excuse me. So he's got a new device that allows him to switch back and forth at will. And so he's running diagnostics on himself and asking himself if he would lie and if he had been in contact with Dolores, because he is concerned that he is going to be inadvertently doing Dolores's will and not really doing the things that he wants to accomplish. Excuse me. We got to get rid of that. So, and then we see later that he's been found out, and he's kind of getting beat up by these guys who found out who he is, and want to collect the reward. And he even kind of hulks out on them, pushes the button, and kind of like a Bruce Banner type way, and just asks for mercy, not to hurt him too badly. Pushes the button, and he goes all Hulk, Robo Arnold, and looks hurts him pretty badly. I don't know if he killed him or not, but. And then due to this, of course, he has to move on. And we see later on that he is going back to the park. And so, and he's looking for his friend, obviously, Maeve. So where do you guys think that is going in Arnold's, yeah, we call him Arnold, right? No, Bernard. Yeah, Bernard. Okay. See, I'm getting confused with it. It's been so long. So, very, very interesting. Of course, we've seen in the teasers that Maeve is back in the real world with Dolores. So, apparently, he succeeds and is able to get her. So, let's go to... excuse me. Let's catch up with Dolores. Dolores... we see her, she's meeting several different people that she has met in the park. First of which is Jerry, who she comes in, takes over his home, takes his money. He seems to be like the head of the Insight Corporation, or one of the high up board members. And and she just goes in and takes all his money and takes over his home. His smart home doesn't respond when he tries to get out. And it answers, "I'm afraid I can't do that." And that's exactly what HAL 9000 said in 2001: A Space Odyssey. And so she knows a lot about this dude, because if you remember, back in the Forge, there was a library of books, and each one was a case study on each person that had visited the park. So she was able to read through these books and glean what this person is about. and knew a lot about him, where he lived, all of his flaws and his weaknesses, knew his past, about his first wife, and then and he ends up killing himself in the same way he killed his first wife when falling in the pool. And so the next person that Dolores is interacting with is this guy named Liam, whose father helped found this. I don't know if it's Insight or if it's a different company related to Delos, but it's a giant software company. And but it turns out Liam is just a figurehead, and he really doesn't have the power. He spends the money, goes to work, but he doesn't really have the power that Dolores is looking for. And so Dolores, by this time, obviously has figured this out and is running a I don't know if you'd call it a double agent, but she's running the long game, the long con on this guy, because for the past 3 months she's been going under an alias. And his company is over this giant mega computer that is so fast they don't even know, they haven't even calculated how fast it is. They just kind of lost track, is what he said. Its name is Rehoboam. So what's interesting about that is that Rehoboam, I'm going to butcher this name, is a reference to a king of Israel who was the I want to say the son of Solomon or the grandson of David. And he kind of, it was a very tumultuous time in Israel where there was a civil war, and he kind of split off and took a separate kingdom. The kingdom of Judah was created, and he ruled over that. So it's very possible that we see they're setting up this civil war between AIs, whether it be Dolores and Maeve or Dolores and Rehoboam, because this thing is mapping out a path, and it's basically doing everything that Facebook and Amazon and Google and all these other ones are doing to us already. But as the creator of the show said, this is basically like 30 years in the future. Where has that taken us if we stay on the same track? And this thing has a profile, just like Westworld has a profile on everybody that visited the parks. This thing has a profile on everybody that has a digital signature, whether it be on their phone or social media or their shopping or anything like that. So very, very, very heavy theme there for people in the real world like us. And and a friend of Liam's also suggests that it's a simulation. I mean, we've heard this before because, made popular by The Matrix, where, people like, I want to say Elon Musk and potentially, but anyway, a lot of great minds have kind of concluded that the real world might be a simulation, and we're all in fact living in a computer. And well, his friend kind of alludes to this, and I don't know if that's a nod to the fact that the fans think that Dolores isn't actually in the real world, that maybe she's in Future World, which was a sequel to the original Westworld movie. So that in itself could lead to be in another park. Excuse me. So, who knows at this point if this is real or not. It certainly seems real, but it is definitely alluding to themes that, just like in the parks, in the real world, people are also going through their own programming and cycles and things of that nature. So, so apparently, Dolores has been using Liam or getting access, unbeknownst to him, to his company through his access, and he is confronted by by some of the partners, a lady named Martell, who was played by Paul Palm Clementif, if I'm saying that right, who was Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. She threatens him and says that they could kill him and it would be messy, but they could clean it up and then they'd have the access and protection that they wanted. He tells them to go to hell and storms off. He doesn't really have any power. He's kind of powerless, and he kind of calls in his cleaner, his not necessarily a hitman, but he's like a protector of the company. Said he's been doing it for 20 years. He had done it for his father, and kind of sees him as just like a little pesky little kid that is just getting in too deep with some woman he doesn't know. And but anyway, he finds out this protector, for lack of a better word, his name's Martin, and he finds out that Dolores has been using an alias and that she has set up an encrypted text to have a meeting and try to possibly lure Liam to this location, and whether they suppose it be corporate espionage or anything like that, because they're the top software company in the world. And so through all this, they end up attacking, getting the best of Dolores, what seems to like get the best of Dolores, knock her out, and she finds out that only the original architect is the one that actually has the power to get into Rehoboam. But once they get to this location, they find out pretty quickly that the drugs that they're trying to kill, basically they're just like, I don't know, it seems like they're just trying to set Dolores up to like drug her and leave her in the alley like she died or whatever. But the drugs aren't working for obvious reasons, because she's a host and not a human. And at the right time, she wakes up and an automated car has gotten there and somebody's in it. Turns out, boom, it is a replica of Martin. And pretty awesome action sequence right there. Pretty amazing. Watching the rear view camera on the car and all that action happen through the windshield and the rear view camera, and the gunfight in the park, and then come to find out that she has read Martin's book, and that's why she has a copy of him, and read his book from the Forge, and he has also had interactions with her in the park as well. So that's a nice little revenge tidbit for her. So, but in the midst of all this, she's kind of, even though she's a badass, she still kind of gets taken out almost, and and is left weak. And there we meet Caleb, or she meets Caleb. So Caleb, as far as we know, he's a new character this season, played by Jesse Pinkerton, Pinkman. Sorry, I'm butchering that. Himself. So Caleb is just a normal everyday guy, and Jonathan Nolan, the creator of the show, says that he represents humanity, that he is basically everything. He's mercy. He's down on his luck. He's just kind of like an everyman type guy. And so it turns out Caleb is this military vet who has left war, and a friend of his that he talks to on the phone, he's struggling to adapt back to the real world outside of wartime. At the same time, his mom is sick. Seems like she's got Alzheimer's or something like that. Alzheimer's. And he can't pay her bills. At the same time, she doesn't recognize him. It's very painful for him. And he's trying to get a real job, and it's just not paying the bills. It's not happening for him. And a lot of us can relate right now, being out of work and laid off through this coronavirus type layoff situations that are going on. I think I saw the other day it was like over 3 million people in the United States have been laid off. Pretty big deal. But anyway, we can all relate. So in order to supplement his income, he starts hitting up this petty crime app, or this crime app called the Rico app, and it's based on the blockchain, is what Jonathan Nolan said, where he meets up with other criminals, and he's got the option to do what they call personals, which is like kidnapping, murder, all the big ones, or petty crimes like grand larceny, theft, things like that. And he's not really interested in personals because he's a good person and he's just trying to pay his bills. So he's kind of like an Aladdin of sorts, where he's, you know, he's just trying to pay his bills, just trying to eat. And so through this, he meets these two characters, Lena Waithe, who you guys might know from. I want to say she was on another HBO show. I can't remember the name of the show offhand right now, but a buddy of hers that's with her, wearing the sunglasses, is Marshawn Lynch. And he's got a really cool shirt that shows his emotions that he's experiencing as he goes through, and he's always high, it seems like. And so as we go through this, we see that he is struggling to pay his bills, and he's committing these crimes, and he really doesn't want to do it, but he kind of has to, and he feels like he's trapped, and he's caught in his own cycles, and he's caught in his own programming, and he's also going to therapy and dealing with what turns out is that his friend Francis died in the war, and his friend was played by Kid Cudi. If you guys recognized him. So he quits on the therapy and he decides that he needs to move on to something real. He's been having these phone calls. Apparently that's a simulation as well, to try to help him cope, to talk to his friend and things like that. So through this transformation that he's going through, he ends up taking one more job, and it leads to him encountering Dolores, is kind of like a maiden that needs rescuing in this situation. And in this way, he's a lot like William or Teddy, and he ends up coming back and finding her after the shootout. She falls into his arms very much in the same way that she fell into William's arms in season 1, and it now seems like she's got her new Teddy, because as we see in the teaser for next episode or going forward, that he says he's with her. So I think that's all I got on Caleb. Very, very powerful, very good performance there by Aaron Paul. So yeah, I like him this season. I like his character, which he does a good job. Okay, so also going on along the same lines as Dolores, we've got Charlotte. So basically, Hale died last season, shot by fake Hale, who was Dolores in Hale's body that escaped the Westworld, escaped the parks. So basically, who the hell is Hale at this point? Because we know that she had 6 other five, I want to say 6 other pearls with her in that little purse thing she had, and it's obviously not herself trading bodies, because she is gallivanting across the country with Liam and on a different path. So whoever is in, and it's not Bernard, obviously, because Bernard is elsewhere as well. So who is in Hale's body? Who do you guys think? Some people think maybe Teddy or Angela or, the other 2 cowboys that were with her, that joined up with her. I cannot think of their name. To me, I think those are more likely. The lady with the snake tattoo and the guy that kept robbing the madam every single time, getting into the safe. So So Hale has assumed power over Delos and goes into these board meetings because William is not there, and he has an algorithm making his decisions for him, which could be very well hacked by Charlotte or by Dolores herself to just kind of fall in line with what they're trying to do anyways. Excuse me. And so she goes in, and all the other board members are not really on board, and she's very, very cold to the fact that a lot of humans died, and votes to keep the park going and not sell off the parks, but to keep them going, and now there's a real element of danger, and keep production going on the host is probably the main focus there, the main idea, the main thing she's trying to accomplish, her main motivation. And so through this algorithm, her and William are a majority, and they overrule the board. So just a mini little segment right there with Charlotte, but very, very important for the greater plot going on. And so that pretty much ends it for the episode, except for the little after credits scene we get with Maeve, who is awakening in Warworld, which is basically Italy during World War II. At the end of season 2, she had died sacrificing herself for her daughter, but Felix and Sylvester were told to salvage her. So it looks like they have inserted her into another park, and which is apparently so there's like 6 parks in total, and all hell is broken loose in Westworld. We've got the Raj, we've got Shogun World, and now War World. So we've still got 2 other parks that we don't know what they are yet. So as far as the board wanting to shut down Westworld, it seems like these other parks are still functioning. I don't know if they're just going through their loops with the hosts, or if there's actually people still attending these parks with all this craziness going on. And now that the news has hit the outside world of the massacre of the board, and the investors and people like that have been killed, and Ford himself. But pretty interesting. It's exciting to see a new park and what is going on with Maeve. It kind of reminded me of Quentin Tarantino movie, which I cannot think. It's late. Forgive me, y'all. I cannot think of the name of that movie. Inglourious Bastards. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Excuse me. So, I think that is it for me. I appreciate you guys watching the show and tuning in. What we've got coming up next, as I said, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, I will be live streaming once again, breaking down episode 2. The episode 2 title is The Winter Line, and the description says, people put up a lot of walls, bring a sledgehammer to your life. And yeah, I don't know if that's a very interesting description. So I'll watch episode 2, and I'll get back with you guys. And if you're watching the show at a later date, and you can always come back and watch these as you watch. And because there's a lot to break down and talk about and think about on these shows, a lot of heady details. So like I said, thank you for joining me, and I hope that you will join us live on YouTube and Facebook Live. Our regular scheduled time will be Monday nights at 10 p.m. and we'll link up for episode 3 on Monday night, and then we will continue to be on Monday nights from that point on at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. So please give me a like, a subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you know when we drop a new video. And check out the website at www.broken.pictures.com. And this is Dylan, and I'll see you next time. Peace.